Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Big Debate. I'm Alex.
And I'm Sarah. Today, we're diving into a topic that's been the subject of countless debates. Business versus a job. What's better? What's more fulfilling? What suits whom?
Yeah, this is a big one. There's no one-size-fits-all answer, so we're going to explore both sides today. What it means to be an entrepreneur versus working a traditional job. We'll talk about the pros and cons, the risks and rewards, and everything in between.
Absolutely. Let's start with the basics, Alex. When you hear the word business, what comes to mind?
For me, business is all about creating something from the ground up. It's about building an empire, no matter how big or small. It's risk, it's innovation, it's ownership. When you run a business, you're the one in control. Everything rests on your shoulders.
I agree. But that's also what makes it daunting, right? The control, the responsibility, it can be overwhelming. When I think of a job, on the other hand, I think of stability. You know what you're getting into, there's a paycheck at the end of the month, and usually there's a clear path for growth.
That's true, but then again, stability can also mean stagnation. In a job, you often have to answer to someone else. Your creativity might be stifled by bureaucracy or the need to stick to the status quo. With a business, you set the rules and you can pivot quickly if you need to.
That's a fair point. But let's talk about risk for a moment. Starting a business is inherently risky. You could invest all your time, energy, and money into something that might not work out. With a job, that risk is significantly lower. You have a safety net in the form of a steady income.
Definitely. The risk factor in business is huge, and it's not for everyone. But I think that's also where the reward comes in. If you succeed, the benefits can be exponential. You're not just earning a salary, you're building wealth, creating jobs, and potentially changing industries.
True, the potential upside is huge. But for every successful business, there are countless others that don't make it. That's a lot of pressure to put on yourself. In a job, especially if you're in a good company, there's a sense of security. You can plan your life with a bit more predictability.
That's a good point. But then there's the question of fulfillment. Some people find working for someone else limiting. They feel like they're just a cog in the machine. With a business, you're working on something that's yours. Even if it's tough, it's your vision you're bringing to life.
Fulfillment is key, but it can be found in a job too. I think it depends on what drives you. Some people thrive in structured environments where they can focus on their craft without worrying about the other aspects of running a business. They find fulfillment in mastering their role, advancing in their career, and contributing to a larger team.
That's true. Not everyone wants to deal with the complexities of running a business. Things like managing employees, handling finances, or navigating regulations. Some people just want to focus on their expertise, and a job allows them to do that.
Exactly. And let's not forget about work-life balance. Running a business often requires long hours and can bleed into your personal life. With a job, especially in a company that values work-life balance, you can often clock out at the end of the day and enjoy your personal time without much worry.
Yeah, the work-life balance can definitely be more challenging when you're running your own business. The business is always on your mind, and sometimes you have to sacrifice personal time to make sure everything is running smoothly.
But on the flip side, if you do build a successful business, you might eventually have more flexibility. You could delegate tasks, set your own schedule, and create a work environment that suits you. In a job, your time and tasks are often dictated by someone else.
That's the dream, isn't it? Building something to the point where it can run without your constant oversight. But getting there is tough, and not everyone makes it to that point.
Exactly. And that's why I think it's important to really understand your own goals and personality before deciding between a business and a job. Do you thrive under pressure? Do you enjoy taking risks? Or do you value stability and structure more?
Yeah, it really comes down to self-awareness. What motivates you? What are you willing to sacrifice? And what does success look like for you? For some, success is climbing the corporate ladder, getting promotions and making a steady income. For others, it's about taking risks, innovating, and potentially creating something big.
And let's not forget the financial aspect. When you have a job, you have a predictable income, which makes it easier to plan your finances, save for retirement, and take out loans if needed. With a business, your income can be much more unpredictable.
That's a big one. Financial uncertainty can be a major stressor for entrepreneurs. You might have months where the money's flowing in, and then dry spells where you're barely scraping by. That's why having a solid financial plan and a cushion is crucial if you're going to start a business.
Absolutely. Financial planning is key in both scenarios, but it's especially critical for business owners. You need to be prepared for the ups and downs and have a strategy for managing cash flow, paying taxes, and investing back into your business.
And let's not forget about the learning curve. Running a business requires you to wear many hats. You might need to be a marketer, a salesperson, a manager, and a financial planner all at once. In a job, you can usually focus on developing a specific skill set.
That's true. Running a business often means constantly learning and adapting, which can be exciting, but also exhausting. In a job, you might have more opportunities for formal training and development, especially if you work for a company that invests in its employees.
Yeah, the learning never really stops when you're running a business. But that's also part of the appeal for some people. The constant challenge, the need to grow and adapt. It can be really fulfilling to see how much you've learned and accomplished over time.
Definitely. And that brings us to another important point: support systems. In a job, you typically have colleagues, managers, and a whole organizational structure to support you. In a business, especially if you're starting out alone, you might not have that same level of support.
That's a big one. Having a team around you can make a huge difference. In a job, you have people to collaborate with, mentors to guide you, and a network to lean on. As a business owner, you might feel isolated, especially in the beginning.
That's why it's important for entrepreneurs to build their own networks, finding mentors, joining industry groups, and seeking out peers who can offer advice and support. You might not have a built-in support system, but you can create one.
Exactly. And sometimes having that network can make all the difference in whether your business succeeds or fails. But again, that's not something everyone wants to deal with. Some people prefer the built-in community that comes with a job.
And that's okay. There's no right or wrong choice, just different paths that suit different people. I think it's important to recognize that both business and jobs have their own sets of challenges and rewards, and it really comes down to what aligns with your values and goals.
Definitely. And I think it's worth mentioning that you don't have to choose one over the other forever. Some people start in jobs, gain experience, and then move into entrepreneurship. Others might run a business and then decide they want the stability of a job later on.
That's a great point. Life is fluid, and so are careers. You can always pivot, learn new things, and make changes based on where you are in life and what you want at that time.
Exactly. And sometimes combining the two can be the best option. For example, starting a side business while still working a job can give you the security of a steady income while you test the waters of entrepreneurship.
That's becoming more common, actually. The idea of a side hustle has really taken off, and for good reason. It's a way to explore your entrepreneurial side without the full risk of quitting your job.
Yeah, it's a great way to dip your toes into the business world. And who knows, if your side hustle takes off, you might eventually transition into it full time.
Exactly. It's all about finding what works for you, being open to change, and not being afraid to take calculated risks when the time is right.
Well said, Sarah. I think that's a great note to wrap up on. Whether you're considering starting a business or sticking with a job, the key is to know yourself, understand the risks and rewards, and make decisions that align with your long-term goals. So, Sarah, we've covered a lot of ground, but there's still so much more to unpack. One thing I'm curious about is how people's backgrounds influence their choice between a business and a job. Do you think upbringing, education, or even culture plays a role in this decision?
Definitely. I think our backgrounds shape our attitudes towards risk and security. For instance, someone who grew up in an entrepreneurial family might be more inclined to start their own business because they've seen it done firsthand. On the other hand, someone from a family where stability was highly valued might lean towards a more traditional career path.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like how some people grow up seeing their parents or relatives running businesses and are inspired to do the same. They've seen the highs and lows, and they understand the kind of work that goes into it. That early exposure can demystify entrepreneurship and make it seem more achievable.
Exactly. And then there's education. Some people might choose a job because their educational path has been geared towards a specific profession. For example, if you go to medical school, you're likely going to become a doctor rather than start a business, at least initially.
True, education can definitely steer you in a certain direction, but it's interesting how some people still pivot later in life. I've heard of engineers who became entrepreneurs because they wanted to create something new, or lawyers who left law firms to start their own practices or businesses.
Yeah, it's fascinating how people's paths can evolve. Sometimes it's about realizing that the traditional path doesn't fully satisfy them, or they see an opportunity that they just can't pass up. But I think cultural factors are huge too. And in some cultures, there's a strong emphasis on entrepreneurship, while in others, having a stable job with benefits is seen as the pinnacle of success.
That's true. In some places, entrepreneurship is celebrated and even expected. In others, there's a greater emphasis on job security, working for a respected company, and advancing within an established organization. The cultural narrative around success can really influence people's choices.
And that can lead to different pressures too. For example, in a culture that highly values entrepreneurship, there might be more pressure to start a business, even if that's not what someone truly wants to do. Conversely, in a culture that values stability, someone might feel discouraged from taking the leap into entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. And that brings up another point: society's perception of success. I think a lot of people equate success with being their own boss or building something from scratch. But success can also mean excelling in a job, contributing to a larger organization, or achieving a work-life balance that makes you happy.
Yes, success is so personal, and I think it's important for people to define it for themselves. For some, success might mean running a multi-million-dollar business. For others, it could mean working a fulfilling job that allows them to spend time with family or pursue hobbies.
Exactly. And that ties back to what we were saying earlier about self-awareness. It's about knowing what you want out of life and not getting caught up in what society or culture says you should do. If you're happier in a job, that's just as valid as being happy running a business.
Couldn't agree more. I think it's also important to talk about the role of failure in both paths. Failure is often seen as a negative, but in both business and jobs, failure can be a powerful learning experience. What are your thoughts on that?
I think failure is inevitable in both paths, but how you handle it can make all the difference. In business, failure is almost a rite of passage. Many successful entrepreneurs have failed multiple times before finding success. It's part of the process, and each failure teaches you something valuable.
That's true. Failure in business can be brutal, but it also builds resilience and forces you to innovate. In a job, failure might look different. It could be not getting a promotion, making a big mistake, or even losing a job. But those experiences can also lead to growth and new opportunities.
Definitely. And sometimes, failure in a job can push you to consider new paths, like starting a business or changing careers. It's about how you bounce back and what you learn from the experience.
Exactly. I think resilience is key, whether you're running a business or working a job. Being able to pick yourself up after a setback and keep moving forward is crucial for long-term success.
Speaking of resilience, I think we should talk about the emotional toll of both paths. Running a business can be incredibly stressful. You're responsible for everything, and that can be a heavy burden. But jobs can be stressful too, especially in high-pressure roles or toxic work environments.
Oh, for sure. The emotional toll is something that doesn't get talked about enough. Entrepreneurs often face loneliness, burnout, and the constant pressure to succeed. But in a job, you can face burnout from long hours, office politics, or a lack of fulfillment.
Yeah, the mental health aspect is huge. Entrepreneurs might struggle with the isolation of being the decision maker, while employees might feel trapped in a role that doesn't satisfy them. It's important to recognize these challenges and seek support, whether through a therapist, mentor, or even just talking to friends and family.
Absolutely. Taking care of your mental health is critical, no matter what path you choose. And sometimes making a change, whether it's starting a business, switching jobs, or even just setting better boundaries, can make a big difference in your overall well-being.
That's so true. And it's worth noting that both paths can offer fulfillment in different ways. In a job, you might find fulfillment in the stability, the teamwork, or the chance to focus deeply on a specific skill set. In a business, the fulfillment might come from the creative freedom, the impact you're making, or the sense of ownership over something you've built from the ground up. But it's all about finding what makes you feel accomplished and satisfied at the end of the day.
Right. And let's not forget that fulfillment isn't just about work either. It's about how your work fits into the bigger picture of your life. For some people, having a job that allows them to clock out and fully enjoy their personal time is the key to happiness. For others, the excitement and challenge of running a business are what drive them.
Absolutely, and I think that balance between work and personal life is something that's becoming more of a priority for people. It used to be all about the hustle, but now there's a growing recognition that work-life balance is crucial for long-term happiness and health.
Definitely. The hustle culture can be really toxic if it's not balanced with self-care and downtime. In a job, that balance might be easier to achieve if the company values it. In a business, it can be harder, especially in the early stages when you feel like you need to be on all the time.
Yeah, and that's where setting boundaries comes into play, which can be tough for entrepreneurs. When it's your business, it's easy to feel like you have to be available 24/7. But if you don't set boundaries, you can burn out quickly.
Exactly. And I think that's where having a strong support system comes in. Whether you're in a job or running a business, having people who understand what you're going through, who can offer advice, or just listen makes a huge difference.
That's so true. And speaking of support systems, let's talk about mentorship. How do you think mentorship differs between someone working a job and someone running a business?
Great question. I think mentorship is valuable in both scenarios, but might look different. In a job, mentorship often comes from within the company, your manager, a senior colleague, or even someone from a different department. These mentors can help you navigate the corporate ladder, develop your skills, and understand the industry.
Right, and in a business, mentorship might come from outside your immediate circle, maybe from other entrepreneurs, industry veterans, or even business coaches. These mentors can provide guidance on scaling a business, avoiding common pitfalls, and staying resilient during tough times.
Exactly. And sometimes having a mentor who's been through the ups and downs of running a business can be invaluable. They can offer insights that you might not get from someone who's only worked in traditional jobs.
Definitely. And I think having that outside perspective is important for entrepreneurs, especially because it's easy to get tunnel vision when you're focused on your business. A mentor can help you see the bigger picture and make strategic decisions.
Absolutely. And for those in jobs, mentors can be equally important for career growth. They can help you see opportunities you might not have considered, guide you through difficult situations, and provide a model for what success in your field looks like.
Mentorship is definitely a game changer in both paths. But let's shift gears a bit. What about the role of passion in choosing between a business and a job? How important do you think it is to be passionate about what you do?
Passion is a big one. I think it's crucial in both paths, but it plays out differently. In a business, passion can be the driving force that keeps you going through the tough times. If you're passionate about your business idea, you're more likely to stick with it and push through the challenges.
I agree. Passion can fuel perseverance, which is essential in business. Without it, the hurdles and setbacks might feel insurmountable. But in a job, passion is important too. It's what makes you excited to go to work, to keep learning, and to contribute to the company's goals.
Definitely. But I also think there's a balance to be struck. Sometimes people think they need to be 100% passionate about their job or business every single day, and that's not always realistic. Even the most passionate entrepreneurs have days when they're not feeling it, and that's okay.
That's such an important point. Passion isn't always about being constantly excited. It's about having a deep, underlying commitment to what you're doing, even when the day-to-day isn't thrilling. And in a job, you might not be passionate about every aspect, but if you're passionate about the overall mission or the impact you're making, that can be enough.
Exactly. And I think it's important for people to realize that it's okay if their passion isn't the main focus of their work. Some people have jobs that pay the bills and allow them to pursue their passions outside of work, and that's a valid choice too.
Absolutely. Passion projects outside of work can provide a lot of fulfillment, even if your job isn't your dream career. And for some, that balance is ideal, having a stable job while also exploring personal passions on the side.
Yeah, it's about finding what works for you. And sometimes, a passion project can even turn into a business down the line. But it doesn't have to. If it brings you joy and fulfillment, that's what matters.
Exactly. It's all about figuring out what role you want passion to play in your life and career, and being okay with whatever that looks like for you. Whether it's in your job, your business, or your side projects, passion should enhance your life, not dictate it.
Well said, Alex. I think that's a great note to wrap things up on. Whether you're leaning towards a business, a job, or a mix of both, the key takeaway is that there's no right or wrong answer. It's all about what aligns with your goals, your values, and what makes you feel fulfilled.
Absolutely. It's about carving out a path that's uniquely yours, not what society or others expect of you. Whether you find fulfillment in a 9-to-5, in building a business, or in a blend of both, the important thing is that it works for you.
Exactly. And remember, it's okay to evolve. Your goals and circumstances might change over time, and that's totally normal. The important thing is to stay true to what you want and be willing to adjust your path as needed.
You know, Sarah, one thing we didn't really dive into is the role that financial considerations play in choosing between a business and a job. We talked a bit about financial stability earlier, but there's a lot more to unpack there, don't you think?
Absolutely. Financial planning and understanding your financial needs are huge factors in making this decision. For example, when you're starting a business, you often need to invest a lot upfront, whether that's in terms of money, time, or both. And it might be a while before you start seeing any return on that investment.
Yeah, the financial risk is definitely higher with starting a business. You might have to dip into savings, take out loans, or even seek investors, all without any guarantee of success. That can be a lot of pressure, especially if you have financial obligations like a mortgage, student loans, or a family to support.
Right. And that's where having a solid financial plan comes in. It's not just about having the capital to start your business, but also having a safety net in case things don't go as planned. On the other hand, with a job, you have the predictability of a steady paycheck, benefits, and usually less financial risk.
Exactly. That steady paycheck can be really appealing, especially if you're someone who values financial security. But at the same time, the potential for financial reward in business can be much higher. If your business takes off, you could end up making a lot more money than you would in a traditional job.
That's true. The earning potential in business can be practically limitless, depending on the industry and the success of the business. But with that potential comes a lot of responsibility, managing finances, paying taxes, handling payroll if you have employees, and so on.
Definitely. And let's not forget the importance of financial literacy in both paths. Whether you're managing a business budget or your personal finances with a steady job, understanding money is crucial. It's something that doesn't get taught enough, but it's so important.
Absolutely. Financial literacy can make or break both a business and personal financial health. For entrepreneurs, it's about understanding cash flow, profit margins, and investment strategies. For employees, It's about budgeting, saving, investing, and planning for retirement.
Yeah, financial literacy is key. And for those considering a transition from a job to starting a business, it's important to know that your financial situation might be tight at first. You might have to live on less, cut back on expenses, or even keep your job while you build your business on the side.
That's a great point. A lot of people start their businesses as side hustles for exactly that reason, to mitigate financial risk. It allows them to test the waters without giving up the security of their job. But even then, it can be a tough balancing act.
For sure. Juggling a job and a side business can be exhausting, but it's a strategy that can pay off if you manage it well. It's also a good way to see if you're truly passionate about your business idea and if it's something that has the potential to grow into a full-time venture.
Exactly. And sometimes a side hustle stays a side hustle by choice. Not everyone wants to scale their business into something huge. Some people are perfectly happy keeping it small and manageable. That's another valid path, depending on your goals and lifestyle.
Absolutely. A side hustle can be a great way to earn extra income, pursue a passion, or even just have a creative outlet. It doesn't always have to become your main source of income. But if it does, it's nice to have that foundation to build on.
Definitely. And speaking of foundations, we should probably talk about the importance of having a solid business plan if you're going the entrepreneurial route. It's one thing to have a great idea, but without a plan, it's hard to turn that idea into a successful business.
So true. A business plan is like a roadmap. It outlines your goals, strategies, financial projections, and the steps you'll take to achieve them. It forces you to think critically about your business and helps you avoid some common pitfalls.
Exactly. It also helps when you're seeking funding, whether from investors, banks, or even friends and family. Having a detailed business plan shows that you've thought things through and are serious about making your business work.
And it's not just about the financial side of things. A good business plan also considers market research, competition, and customer needs. It's about understanding the landscape you're entering and finding your place within it.
Right. And for those in a job, planning is still crucial, just in a different way. Career planning involves setting goals, acquiring the necessary skills, and positioning yourself for advancement or opportunities that align with your long-term objectives.
Absolutely. Whether you're in a job or running a business, having a plan gives you direction and helps you stay focused. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day, but a plan keeps you aligned with your bigger goals.
And it's worth mentioning that plans should be flexible. The market changes, industries evolve, and personal circumstances shift. Whether you're in a job or a business, being able to adapt your plan is key to long-term success.
That's a great point. Flexibility is crucial. You might start with one idea or goal and realize along the way that you need to pivot. Being open to change and willing to adjust your plan can make all the difference.
Definitely. And that flexibility also applies to personal growth. Whether in a job or business, continuous learning is essential. The world is changing so fast, and staying relevant means constantly updating your skills and knowledge.
Lifelong learning is so important. In a job, it might mean taking courses, attending workshops, or seeking out new experiences that broaden your expertise. In a business, it might mean staying on top of industry trends, learning new technologies, or improving your leadership skills.
Exactly. And that's another area where having a mentor can really help, guiding you on what skills to develop or areas to focus on. Whether you're aiming for a promotion or looking to grow your business, continuous learning and development are key.
Totally agree. It's about staying curious and being proactive in your growth. Whether you're in a job or running a business, the more you learn, the more opportunities you can create for yourself.
And on the topic of growth, I think we should also touch on the idea of scaling. In a business, scaling means expanding, whether that's through increasing your customer base, launching new products, or entering new markets. But scaling isn't always the goal, right?
Right. Not every business needs to scale. Some entrepreneurs are happy running a small, profitable business that gives them the lifestyle they want. But for those who do want to scale, it requires a whole different set of skills and strategies.
Exactly. Scaling involves managing more complexity, more customers, more employees, more operations. It's a big leap, and it's not for everyone. It's important to know whether scaling aligns with your personal goals and business vision.
Definitely. And in the job world, scaling could be compared to climbing the corporate ladder, taking on more responsibilities, managing teams, or even moving into executive roles. But again, that's not the goal for everyone. Some people are perfectly happy in roles that allow them to specialize and excel without the added pressure of management.